Namaste, greetings everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video today. We're going to do a brief video on our particular mudras for Ganapati that we do in our opening practices. A few quick words on Ganapati and mudras. We'll do separate videos on all of those perhaps. Ganapati is known as the remover as well as the placer of obstacles and the threshold guardian. You'll often see him in doorways or the entrances to buildings, as he's that which guards the boundary, the threshold from one state to the next state, from one place to the next. But of course, in the non-dual tantric view of Ganapati, he is none other than an aspect of our own true nature. So he's not some deity, some being outside of ourselves, but rather is an aspect of ourselves. So when we are calling this energy of Ganapati, it's not about calling in some foreign entity, but rather acknowledging a particular aspect of our own consciousness. A quick word on mudras. Mudra means seal. In the tantric traditions, a lot of mudras are actually inner states of being. In the more Hatha yoga and classical yoga, Vedanta view of mudras, these are typically hand seals, hand gestures. And they're working on a lot of levels. They're working on energetic levels as they're working with particular nadis in the body, subtle body meridians. They're also working on a practical level. So as you're doing these things, you're drawing your focus to particular points of being, which are going to help you to hone your attention into what you're doing. And then on a mental level, what they represent is also bringing us into this dialogue of being to understand what they're leading us to on a more metaphoric level. So we're getting all these different aspects from the mudras themselves by our performance of the particular mudras. So let's jump in to the mudras. The first is the pasham, the noose. To perform the pasham mudra, you're going to interlace your fingers. You'll start with the left pinky at the bottom. Bring your fingers together and then draw your hands in so you can see the knuckles there. Bring your left thumb down and cross the right thumb on top. This is the pasham, the noose, the lasso. The noose is what ensnares us. It's the thing that we put in front of us that says you couldn't possibly be present right now. You can't enjoy this moment because you have to plan that thing that's happening in the future. You have to go over that conversation you had with so-and-so or that thing that you did and think about all the ways you would have done it differently or the way they should have done it differently and how you would have responded and what you're going to do differently next time and blah, 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 blah. All right, that's the pasham, the stuff that we put in our own way. You've got the ankusham, the prod or the goad. So for this, you're going to take your pinky, ring, and middle fingers, bring them together. You're going to cross your thumb over all three fingers. We'll do this on both hands. Point your index finger, and then bring your right arm over the left. Bring the back of the tips of your index fingers together so your nails are touching. This is the ankusham, the prod, the goad, that which, if you've ever seen elephant riders, they've got that little poker that kind of pokes the elephants to encourage them to get forward. And it symbolically represents the same thing. We need a push sometimes, a little shove to get us going, to get us outside of our comfort zone, our familiar patterns of thinking or doing or of small self-identification, to move into something new, a new way of being, to cross that threshold from our old ways into something else. But in order to do that, we need the ekadantam. The ekadantam is the singular tusk. So to do this mudra, you're going to take your left hand and it's going to become a shelf for the right elbow. Make a similar mudra as before. You're bringing in your pinky, ring, and middle fingers, crossing the right thumb on top, and then pointing your index finger straight down. So the left hand acts as a shelf, the right finger, index finger, points straight down for the singular tusk. Now, as legend goes, Vyasa, who is the author of the Mahabharata, which is this enormous Indian epic, he needed someone to write the epic down for him. And no one could sit long enough to write it all down in one sitting, but that's what he wanted. Not only could no one do it, but no pen could last that long. They would all break. So he goes to Ganapati, to Ganesha, and asks him if he would be up for the task. And of course, Ganesha says yes. But again, no pen would last that long. So he has to break off his own tusk to write with so that it will last that long. This is the sacrifice necessary to move into something new, to cross the threshold. We have to be willing to give up aspects of ourselves that have been limiting us, that have been getting us caught, the pasham, in these old patterns of being. We have to be willing to let go of those, to sacrifice those, so that we can move into something else. The modicum, the sweet treat. You'll often see in the imagery of Ganesha a little bowl beside him filled with sweet treats. This is the modicum. So you're just going to bring your fingers together like you're holding a little sweet treat in your hands. And this represents the sweetness of life. So the tantric traditions and those represented by Ganapati or Ganesha are householder traditions. It's about enjoying the sweetness that life has to offer. It's not about transcendence. You're not trying to get up and out of this crazy life because it's an illusion. But by learning how to be more intimate with this moment in life itself, you get to enjoy the actual sweetness that life has to offer. So again, that is the modicum, the sweet treat. Then we've got the mushikam, the mouse. You'll often see images of Ganesha riding on a little mouse, or a mouse is beside him in the pictures. This is representing the capacity to get into nooks and crannies and corners where you didn't think you could get into before. Doors opening that you didn't know were open or unlocked. So to do this particular mudra, you're going to make a fist with your right hand. So curl the 4 fingers in, cross your left hand on top. So the fingers of your left hand will cover the fist you've made with your right hand. Bring your left thumb down, but instead of bringing the right thumb on top like we did in Pasham, you're actually going to sneak the right thumb underneath the left and point the right thumb up. This is the head of the mouse, of the little mushikam, right? So now we're representing this mouse and its ability to sneak into little corners, to open up doors that we didn't think were open or we didn't think we could get into. And then the amrita kalasham, the pot, the nectar of bliss, the bowl of bliss itself. And so this is representing the bliss that comes from fully penetrating awareness itself, from being fully alive, fully awake and aware. It's the nectar of immortality, the nectar of the gods. So you simply cup your hands and bring them together like you're holding a pot of liquid, the liquid of the nectar of immortality. And then finally, Abhaya Mudra is the no fear mudra. You simply bring your hand up, just like you would, if you go and you're like, whoa, 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 right? This is showing like, hey, there's nothing to fear here. I don't have anything going on, right? Like, put your hands up. This is a natural human thing, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just to say like, hey, I don't mean any harm, right? I'm not like ready to fight. In the same way, we bring up the singular hand to represent the fact that there's nothing to fear. All the things that they're putting in front of us, the pasham that says like, you can't be present because you have to worry about the past or the future and plan this and organize your life more. And only once you've done all that, then can you actually be present. There's nothing to fear about the present, right? We don't have to plan life. We don't have to have everything figured out. It's not saying don't plan life. Don't figure out what time you need to pick up your kids from school, or if you're watching this right now with the video, no one's picking their kids up from school because everyone's in quarantine. But the idea of like planning isn't neglected in these traditions. We're not saying don't plan, but when there's time to think and to plan, do those sorts of things. But when they're preventing us from being fully present in life, that's when we start to have problems. When I'm sitting here closing my eyes, trying to connect with reality, and all I'm thinking about is all the plans, all the things that I need to do, right? That's the pasham, the noose that's ensnaring me and keeping me trapped in my own vikalpas, my own mental stories. So here is the Abhaya Mudra, the no fear mudra. So as we walk through those, they're giving us a metaphoric, not only an energetic seal to draw us into this moment more powerfully, but it's also giving us that metaphoric, that story that we're following of how we're engaging life itself. So we start off, of course, with the pasham, the noose, right? We have those things that are trapping us, that are ensnaring us. But we get the ankusham, the goad, something that prods us, that pushes us out of those things that have been trapping us. We have to be willing, though, to sacrifice parts of our old self that were limiting us, that were keeping us trapped and ensnared. And then when we do that, we get to enjoy the sweetness of life. Not only do we get to enjoy the sweetness of life, but now we start to open up into ways that we never knew we could before. Doors start to open that we didn't know could open. We sneak into little nooks and crannies. New opportunities present themselves because we're fully alive and present with the moment, perceiving it as it arises, rather than busy thinking and being distracted in our heads. And when that happens, then we truly are able to receive the nectar of bliss, the bliss of being fully present with reality itself. And then we realize that there was never anything to fear with being present. All of our worries and concerns that kept us in the past or the future were unnecessary because it's all here. That nectar of bliss of being is right here in this moment. So I'll go through them once with the mantras so you get a sense of where we're placing them. And then I'll break down each one so you can get that in there as well. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha, Shri Mahaganapatim Avahayami, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. All right, so Om Shri, these aren't the translations, they're not for the mudras, these are just when we're placing the particular mudras. You can watch the previous video when we talk about the opening and closing mantras and the meanings of the mantras that are being said at the times that we're doing these mudras. But Om Shri, we're doing the pasham, right, the noose. Mahaganapataye Namaha is the ankusham, the prod or the goad. Shri Maha is the ekadantam, the singular tusk. Ganapatim, we do the modicum, the sweet treat. And Avahayami is the mushikam, the mouse. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha is the nectar of bliss, when we're holding the nectar of immortality. And then Harihi Om, Om to the remover, is when we do the Abhaya Mudra, that's removing all fear from us being fully present. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha, Shri Mahaganapatim Avahayami, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful for you in your practice. I hope you've learned something. Hope this helps you incorporate these mudras into your practice more, whether you're doing them before your asana practice with us or doing them in your own meditation practice. These are all mantras and mudras that I do in my own personal sadhana and practice to help coalesce my attention into this moment so that I can be more present. And it serves that practical sense too of the Pavlovian response, even of just the body gets so used to, going through these motions that means it's time to be present and fully aware. And it's just another thing to train attention and the nervous system and the subtle body to come into presence itself. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. Thank you all for watching today. Anugrah Hitosmi.